Shri Matri Namaha, Shri Ramaraksha, Sarva Jagat Raksha. Before getting into the topic, please like, share and subscribe to our channel so you motivate us in bringing out the sacred content to you all. I'm offering a paid consultation or guidance service. If you want to avail it, you can mail me at vibehirights@gmail.com. If you have any concerns regarding your Kundalini awakening journey, your personal ascension, you have any kind of a query regarding your astrological chart, I'll be aligning your astrological chart with your awakening journey, and I'm going to give you remedies based on what kind of astrological remedies you have to do so that your ascension can move forward. Okay, so this is based on your ascension. This is not just the astrology, this is the ascension astrology. So if you want to know more about it, you can mail me. So if you want to understand your own ascension astrology, I'm going to give you, I'm going to analyze your astrological chart, and I'm going to give you certain remedies which can help you in your own ascension journey through astrology. Hope you have understood this. So this was about the ascension astrology. I'm planning to make a video on the ascension astrology. So if you are interested, you can mail me. So for your dream interpretations, for your ascension astrology, and also for your Kundalini guidance. So this was all about it, and now we are going to go on the topic. Now today's topic is the food in your ascent, food changes in your ascent and descent. Before, I've made videos on food changes in the Kundalini awakening journey. If you did not listen to that, go listen to that. And also I have made video on fasting effects on the Kundalini awakening journey. If you did not listen to these two, go listen to them, because these two are also connected to this video which I'm recording now. So now here, Kundalini ascent and descent. Let's discuss on what will happen and how your changes of the food habits and all these things will happen in the Kundalini ascent and descent. So now in the Kundalini ascent, I've told you Kundalini will reject certain kind of food. All these things will happen during your Kundalini ascent journey. I myself personally face this, and this is common. This one thing will common, like your body will reject certain kind of food during both the ascent phase and also the descent phase, because in ascent phase also I have rejected some kind of foods which are not serving me anymore, and also in the descent phase I have rejected certain kind of foods which are not serving me anymore. So this is a common point where your body knows how it has to function, what kind of food it needs, and so it will reject whatever which is not aligned with your body. Let me tell you that I'm already a very a health conscious person. I always mostly 80% of the time I always eat healthy only. So since very long years I'm into a science field, a medical field. Since very long years it's my practice. Since childhood only I'm very much keen on, I'm a very health conscious person, so I always consume healthy foods and all these things. I mostly don't eat the junk and all the things which are not unhealthy, because I'm more based on my background, also based on the person I'm very health conscious, right? So I always choose healthy. Even if the person who is choosing healthy, even that kind of a person is rejecting certain foods, means then you think about people who consume all sorts of things. So even after being very health conscious, even after having so many food choices before the awakening itself, my lifestyle was such that I'm already very health conscious person. I'm already consuming a lot of healthy things only. Even for such kind of a person, if there is some kind of a food things and there are some kind of a rejections of the Kundalini which is happening through food, then think about the other people, the common people, right? So even after being every time whenever I buy something, I make sure that it is only wheat only. This is not a maida something, or this is not something sugary, because when I was in medical college only, I did quit sugary items. So I don't consume sugar at all. It's been a very long time now. Some kind of natural sources of sugar, that is fine for me, but I don't consume a sugar granules. I don't consume them from very long time, and it's a very long practice of mine, and I have been like this for so many years now. It's been a decade now, so I don't consume sugar at all. So I just obtain the natural sources of sugar. So something very rarely and very occasionally, and if there is some kind of a function, or if there is some occasion where I'm eating some kind of a dessert which is served by others, or which I have to eat, then only I eat, otherwise I don't. Okay, so I'm that kind of a person. For somebody like me only, after getting into the Kundalini awakening journey, then I had some eye openers. For somebody like me only, that I am facing so many things, so many products which I think that which are healthy and which are not so, which are a mass manipulation which I've done by the food industry through the to the population. So when your Kundalini is pointing out that okay, this food is also not healthy, then think about how you can survive in this like a world. Okay, like after the Kundalini awakening, your Kundalini will tell you like what is actually the healthy and what is actually coated as something which is healthy. So you will identify even the deeper layers of the food okay, food items. Okay, after that you will understand, oh my god, I thought this is like a healthy, and but it is like a coated just like a healthy substance or a healthy food item, but it is not. So you will have to recognize all these things. And now so this thing can happen both in your ascent and descent journey. The major difference between the ascent and descent is when your Kundalini ascent will happen, the Arohana phase will happen. At that time, what will happen is your consciousness will always try to move upwards. It is rising. So I made also videos on Kundalini ascent journey, Arohana. So you can listen to all these Arohana videos, and also you can listen to the descent video which I have made recently. So in that one, I've told you that your Kundalini is already rising, always rising. So because that it's rising, it will become ungrounded. Firstly, you will not have that much grounding when you're in the initial phases of your awakening journey, and you have to practice a lot of grounding, because when you are in the Kundalini ascent journey, your consciousness is always, your energy, your Shakti is always trying to move towards the consciousness, and it is always working on the upper chakras, and so much of the activity of the upper chakras will happen. And because of that activity of the upper chakras, and because your energy is trying to always move towards the upper chakras, what will happen is your grounding, you lack a lot of grounding, and you will be very ungrounded. So because initially you don't know how to manage yourself, and you are already ungrounded, and your Shakti is rising, and your Kundalini is moving, and you have intense phases of awakening, and you don't know what to do. In that case, what can happen? What you can do is this is a tip which I personally followed, and after a lot of struggle, after a lot of efforts, I understood this, and because of my all efforts, give it a like, share this to all the people who need this kind of information, and also comment in the comment section below your personal experiences, and did you experience this kind of similar things or not, and let me know also, are these tips are working to you or not. After applying this, what is like how it benefited you, and all those things, because other people will also feel motivated by with your comments. So when I was in that phase where I was feeling very ungrounded, what I was doing is I wanted to bring myself into this consciousness, into the body consciousness, because I was moving into the higher levels of consciousness. I was moving into the higher dimensions. So I want to bring myself back into the 3D. So how I can do those things? Firstly, in terms of food, we'll talk. Okay, other things I told you in my previous videos that you can watch. Okay, in terms of food, how I can bring myself into the 3D world. So how I can bring myself into the 3D is to consume food. So whenever I feel that there is an intense energy rise, or whenever I used to feel that there is a lot of Kundalini activity is happening, there is a lot of rising is happening, or there is a lot of intensity of the Kundalini or intense phases of Kundalini is happening, I tried to eat food. I try to eat something which is necessary for me, which can help me in grounding this kind of energy. So before I told you, right, I was like a very health conscious person, but sometimes because of my Kundalini energy, or because of my energy was in such a way that I even used to order pizzas so that I can eat that pizza, and that pizza will help me in grounding my energy. I did not want to like eat pizza, but because it was the demand of my being, because of the demand of my 3D self, so I had to eat that so that I can sustain that energy which was rising, so that I can bring back that energy, I can ground that energy, because it was going too much haywire and it was going like very intense. So I have to do something so that I can ground it. So sometimes I used to order something, and I used to eat pizzas, I used to eat ice creams, I used to eat like something like a lot of carbohydrates, even though I did not want to eat a lot of carbohydrates, because that is the need of the hour. I did not have any kind of option other than that. I had to eat it, because that carbohydrate like helped me in plugging myself, and in helping me help me in rooting myself. I already I do a lot of walking and all these exercises and all these things, but still, even after doing all these things, even after doing the root chakra work, even after grounding myself, but still that energy was going so much high. So I had to do figure out some additional things which can help me in grounding that energy. Okay, So I used to consume like carbohydrates. I used to consume like pizza once in a while, when only I don't recommend you to do this regularly. I am only suggesting this to those people who are like having this kind of intense energy, so this intense kundalini rising. So during that emergency situations only do that thing. Otherwise don't eat every day, every time you are ordering pizza once a week, and then you're blaming me for your like a pizza and all these things you're consuming all unhealthy, and you're blaming me for that. I don't want that to happen. So only do that for whenever your energy is like a very high, when very intense, and if it's a need of the hour, or in such emergency situations, you can do that thing, or you can follow the step. So I had to like eat pizza. I used to eat ice cream so that I can and also, because why ice cream? Because you also go through a lot of emotional turmoils, right? So for you, sometimes you crave for those sweets, or sometimes you crave for some kind of a dessert, or some kind of a like halwa, or some kind of a moong dal halwa, or carrot halwa, something like that, or something which is your favorite. So you always like some chocolate ice cream, or some kind of ice cream which you like. Okay, so why you're craving that thing? Because you will also, because your kundalini is rising and it is churning everything. It is giving you that emotional turmoil. It is churning everything in your body. You are going through the samudra manthan, and because of that samudra manthan, whatever the things which are there within you, it is all coming to the surface. Sometimes it's difficult to handle those kind of energies. It's difficult to balance your energies. So once in a while, because for a self love, you can give it that self love to yourself, or you can have like some kind of a daya on yourself, and you can like eat that ice cream. It's okay to have those cheat days. So when you are going through a lot of tough times, you eat it. Okay, don't think so much, just eat it, and then later you can like have lose weight and do all those other sorts of things. But then what is most important for you to eat that thing, because that will, at least for temporarily, it will help you ground your energy, because you're going through a lot of emotional turmoil. I myself have faced a lot of emotional turmoil, or so many things which are happening in my life during that part of the kundalini journey. But then whenever I like craved something during that point, and when I did eat that, for example, I'm going through a lot of I used to go through a lot of emotional turmoil during that phase of awakening, and then I craved for some kind of ice cream. I want to eat ice cream. Okay, so then when I started eating ice cream, I like felt satisfied. I felt calmed down. Okay, I felt more balanced. So your system demands that energy, which can help your 3D self manage that whatever the kundalini is throwing at you. So it's kundalini, for kundalini, it's like kundalini can do anything. Kundalini will like cleanse, bring all the things to the surface. But then your 3D system, your 3D self have to balance it, have to manage it. How you can do it? By this kind of a tips and tricks. So if you want more tips and tricks for your personal journey, you can mail me at vibhirates@gmail.com. I'm going to give you, and it is a paid consultation. Okay, so when you are like in that phase, and your system demands that, your 3D self demands that, so don't ignore your 3D self, because your 3D self is also important. If there is no 3D self, then where will be your kundalini journey, right? You have to respect your 3D self also, and you have to value the demands and the cravings of your 3D system also. It's also important, right? Because your system, 3D system is there. That's the reason why your consciousness is able to ascend, right? So otherwise it wouldn't be happening. So you have to balance that also. And if you feel like you want to eat ice cream, you eat it. Okay, if you feel like once in a while you want to order pizza or something which can help you ground yourself, then eat it. And also later, after when I was in in the initial stages of awakening, I used to do all these kind of things. And then when I was in a balanced state, when I was have done a lot of cleansing and all those things, then I shifted slowly from these unhealthy things to something which is a little more balanced. Like now I started having some kind of a desserts which are homemade, or some kind of a desserts which are like more healthier version of those foods which I'm doing. Before I was in more I was not in initial stages of awakening. So much of things were happening, so much of cleansing was happening. So during that time period, or during that phase, that was important. After that, when I was in the middle phase of the awakening, where I was little bit more balanced, then I craved for something. Now my grounding has shifted. Now my way to approach the grounding process has shifted, and now because I do all the other things which are required for the grounding, and also my food choices are also different. Now I've shifted more from those pizzas and ice creams to more I have to choose some kind of a carbohydrate rich food, or or maybe those days I eat more than usual. I eat more than whatever I usually consume on a daily basis. I consume more than I used to eat, a little extra during those time periods where my energy was a little more intense. So I used to take more carbohydrates during that time, and then later I used to think that, okay, I can like compensate for these carbohydrates, I can do something, but first let me ground myself, that is more important. So I used to consume more carbohydrates, and also I used to choose some kind of options which is like more homemade or something, like some dessert or something like that. So this is like a way of grounding your Kundalini energy. And this consuming a lot of food, this happens during more during the ascent phase of the Kundalini awakening, because that is where your consciousness is trying to move upwards, and you have to do something so that you ground yourself here on the, you anchor yourself in the 3D also. So in order to anchor yourself in the 3D, you have to eat. There is no other option. I also worried about my weight, and like I'm gaining more weight and all these things. But then for me it was more important, because I knew I was gaining weight, but then I did not had any option. So later you can, after your intense phase is over, later you can think about something about that. But then the more important stuff, the work on priority basis, the more important for you to ground yourself first. So otherwise, without grounding, you can have more problems. So that's why I was worried about a lot about my weight. But then I was like, I like self-counseled myself that, okay, now the weight and weight issues and all these things are not important. First, let me work on my priority basis. Now eating this food is more important. Eating my carbs is more important. Grounding myself with the help of that pizza or ice cream is more important. So let me do that. I'll worry about all the other things later. But then first, the grounding is my priority. Grounding my Kundalini energy is more important. So I have done that. I have taken the choice because I did not have any option. So even if you are feeling something, if you're going through something like this, you also can take this option. So this is the ascent phase of awakening, where you have to ground yourself, and this is the way you ground yourself. And now the story changes in the descent phase of awakening, and this is like I don't know, this is like more nicer. I feel like this is more like a better part compared to the ascent, because ascent was like it is so much intense, and it was like it was more uncontrollable kind of a thing. It was like a very difficult part, difficult to manage kind of a part. But then in the descent phase, what will happen is, already your consciousness is going down. Okay, it's coming down, and it is you're embodying your divine consciousness. And here, what will happen is, you don't require much energy in the form of food, and you don't require much external sources for your energy, like food. So your intake of the food will be less. I don't say it will be completely very less, not like that, but comparatively in the way you're consuming, sometimes I forgot to tell you one point, that during your ascent phase of the Kundalini awakening journey, or Arohana phase of the Kundalini energy, you also go through certain depression or certain anxiety or mood changes, mood swings, so many other things, right? So during that phases, you don't feel like eating, so you give up eating. So suppose if your Kundalini awakening journey, it has triggered some kind of a depression, and during the depressive phases, people naturally don't feel like eating anything, right? Or out of depression they eat a lot, or out of emotional imbalance they eat a lot. So sometimes it's like you don't eat, or if you're eating, you eat more to ground your energy. It depends on your Kundalini, what kind of a Kundalini awakening it's happening. Sometimes you know what is happening around you, you are just lost within your own world, so you don't eat. So this point I forgot to tell you in the Kundalini ascent. So when it comes to the descent, in the descent, what is happening is, you are getting the energy from within. I felt like that you are getting the energy from within. The consciousness which is there, which is descending down, that consciousness is also it is enough to maintain that energy within you, so you don't naturally feel hungry. So you don't eat much during the descent phase, and you don't naturally now I am not feeling that much hungry, I'm eating. But then comparative to the ascent journey, now my system is working very differently. Now I feel that I already have energy. I already have because of the descent of the consciousness into the matter. Now it's okay to eat, not eat, or whatever it is, like that sometimes, but not every time. It's not. And whatever I told during the Kundalini ascent also, it doesn't happen every time. So only during the intense phases of your awakening, okay, intense phases of your ascent. So now what I'm saying here, now this is not happening every time, okay, not every day. It is only during the intense phase of the descent, okay, descent of your grace or top down awakening. So regularly you will be normal person only. Regularly whatever you're eating, whatever you're doing, you will do all those normal routines only. But only during that specific situations where you're going through the intense process of awakening, you can see these kind of changes which I've told you before. Okay, now in the descent, in your your intense phase of the descent, you naturally don't feel like eating a much, because you already are provided with that kind of a divine energy, and that divine energy is enough. That shakti which you are accumulating within you, that consciousness which you are accumulating within you, that is enough for your energy, and with that consciousness you can function for a more longer period of time, or you can function even with a little amount of food, and you will naturally cut down the amount of food which you are consuming. So this I have experienced in my descent journey, and it only happens during certain periods of the descent journey. And don't say me that I have told Vibhai told like you don't need food, and you are staying, you are not eating any food, and you're having some kind of health issues. No, don't do that, please. So it only happens during, listen to your calling, because it's not like I am saying you and you're doing it. Don't do like that, it can harm you instead of benefiting you. Listen to your calling, you can observe it within yourself, and let me know in the comment section below if it is happening to you or not. So you can observe it only and listen to your calling. So if you are also going through the symptoms, and this video is only to help you all to identify those symptoms. Okay, you are already might have going through this process, and this video or this channel is helping you to identify and to bring that awareness, to throw that light on you, so that you can recognize what is happening within you. So this is the only purpose of making of this video. So here in this descent, it's not like you wantedly you cut down. You naturally cut down a lot of food, and you don't feel like eating. You don't feel like eating a lot, and you don't feel like having like a regular, you don't involve in regular daily eating routines and all these things. You can feel like you can sustain even without food, like that sometimes, and it doesn't happen regularly daily, no. But sometimes you can get into those places where you can survive even without eating for so many longer hours. Okay, longer hours. Now I'll not mention the hours, because I don't know, some of you will be very naughty and you'll try to practice those hours, and it will be very dangerous for you. So that's why I'm not going to mention that. But you can feel that you can sustain for a longer hours and longer duration of time even without food, because you're already having some kind of a consciousness descent which is happening, and that consciousness is taking care of your energy system also. So that's the reason why you feel like that. So this was the major difference between the ascent and descent, and the food changes during the ascent and descent phase of the Kundalini awakening journey. And if you have any doubts regarding this, if you want to ask me anything, you can ask me in the comment section below. If you have any personal queries, you can take a paid consultation through my email. My email is vibhai@gmail.com. And if you have like any kind of question which I feel that I have to make the video on that topic, I'll make the video on that topic. And as of now, it is this much. And if I have to add something with regards to this topic, then I'll make some video. Let's see what will happen in the future. So as of now, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for listening till the very end. And hope your day will be very nice. And Sri Rama Raksha, Sarva Jagat Raksha, Sri Matre Namaha.